So here we go. I'm going to take the plastic wrap off. So here's the outer wrapping. And inside, there's the certificate with the name of the deck on it. And I bought more than one deck, so I actually chose the one whose name I liked the most. And I'm not going to share that. I'm going to keep that one private. And then we have the little magnet here. I'm going to carefully peel off. Beautiful. And let's see how easy it's going to be to get this plastic off. Not too bad. There we go. Oh, and this is one of the ones where the lid orientation and the bottom orientation is correct. I think if you've been keeping up with Benebell, she had a manufacturing problem where the bottom of the box was turned 90 degrees the wrong way. So I got one of the nice ones here. Lovely. We have the little white book. And this looks very similar to the white book from the old edition. I'm actually going to pull that out while we're at it here. So let's see, the first edition and the Vitruvian edition side by side, they look exactly like they're the same thickness. And just to flip through them, they look very similar in content, actually. I'll take a look at that later. And if you know Benebell, she has everything that I'm about to say is already fully documented on her site. So let's see. And here are the beautiful cards with the sepia tone. Let me get the little plastic band off. As opposed to the original cards, which have a white, black, which are basically black and white. And then we have the sepia tone here. Wonderful. And I can tell that they're exactly the same height, so they're on the same card stock. Let me also show the inside of the box to compare. So those are the images of the inside of the box, which I'll bring a little closer as well. Wonderful. And then the lids of the boxes. So they feel absolutely the same quality. The box just has an amazing quality to it. You know that you can use this for years. It's not going to split down the sides. Whoops. It's not going to, and it fits so well. You're never going to have to pick at it to get the thing open. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like opening an Apple iPhone box. The way the way it slides right out, but stays firmly secured when you want it to. Wonderful. And let me see. Oh, this is nice. The original edition has a solid black background, and not only, I don't know which design I like most, but I do really like the fact that the backs have this, on the new Vitruvian edition here on the left, they have a sort of a mottled, I don't know what the word is. It's sort of like if you're painting a wall and you use a sponge to apply some color to it. So there's a sort of slight brown, lighter brown texture to the background, which I really enjoy. And one thing I'll mention, the one thing that I did not like about the original edition is that I have changed the way I've drawn cards over the years. And I think like maybe, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was having a lot of problems drawing cards by touch. I always used to do it by touch. And I am a much more visual card drawer now. So after I fan my cards, I draw them by eye. I pick them with my eye before I pick them with my hand. And it's very challenging to do that unless you're in a very bright light situation with the old card backs. So that's really the only thing I didn't like about the first edition's design, was that basically if the light's not good, I will need to revert to drawing cards by touch instead of using my eyes. But I'm wondering, with the new Vitruvian edition, what the edges are going to look like. And I will say it's definitely easier with this new brown design to see the delineation between the card edges. So I think with this new deck, I'm actually really pleased because I think it will be much easier to draw the cards visually the way I did before. So I love that. And I can tell one of the amazing things about both of these decks is that there's no burr on the edge of the cards. And if you don't know the word burr, or if you haven't thought about it before, these cards are perfectly flat. Some cards, when they're cut and the cutting machine it cuts through them, basically it creates a slight curve on the edge. So if I kind of bend my fingers to over exaggerate, they're kind of like that. They kind of fold into each other like bowls. And that's when, if you riffle shuffle, you'll get clumps of 2, 3, 4, 5 cards because they're nesting and they don't want to separate when you shuffle. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shuffle the new ones, even though I haven't gone through. I'm not going to go through them with you, actually. I'm not going to go through them individually because basically there's a high resolution image of every single card on Benebell's website, and I'll put the link below in the video, and you can see them at your leisure. You can stare at them as long as you want. I'm not going to take up your time by showing you each one individually. I'm going to go ahead and just give them a quick shuffle just to kind of see what the feel is like. I'm not going to actually go through with it, but oh, that's wonderful. So you can really tell if you're a riffle shuffler, you can tell that I write a really good mix. I can see that I've got, groups of basically, a lot of these are grouped individually, and there's some 2s and maybe only one or a couple of groups of 3, but they shuffle really well. So I'm really pleased. The texture has that matte silkiness that the old deck does too, if you're familiar with the old deck. There's the 3 versions of the Fool, the Initiate, the Seeker, and the Keeper. And actually, I know in the instructions, it says, and I think what most people are doing is they're choosing the one that either resonates with them the most or which more suits the purpose of the reading more. I enjoy reading with all 3 of these and having 80 cards, and I think it's fine. I've done that a lot with the old deck, and of course they still don't come up that often, but I like having the deck tell me which one I need to see, actually. Even though it's sepia tone, I feel like you can see a lot of different colors here, right? There's, like in this card right here, there's gray, light brown, and then the sort of the more true sepia around the edge here. I like these multiple tones, really. There's grays, there's sepias, there's browns. And I feel like the color really lends us the sense of depth to the images. I feel like there was definitely depth to the original images, the black and white images, but I feel like there's a little bit more of a sense of depth to all of them in this deck, which I really, really like. Here's a really nice one. And then, yeah, amazing. Okay, I'm going to be looking forward to using these. The other thing I guess I would want to show you here is the materials that come with the packages that you guys bought. So here I have the original book of maps and the new Vitruvian edition, and one thing you can tell is how much thicker the new one is. I read it a couple months ago, so I don't remember all of the details about all of the new additions in the new book of maps, but the one thing I did notice flipping through is there's a very detailed section that actually maps the I Ching and tarot together, which I'm really excited about. It's not something I usually think about. The one other deck that I've used regularly that maps the I Ching to the tarot is the Heindel Tarot, and Rachel Pollack wrote the books for the Heindel Tarot. I remember seeing it in 1 or 2 other decks, but that's the main one where I think I've seen it regularly as a part of the card. But so this to me is really exciting because it's something I haven't thought about in a long time. But these books are beautiful. You can get the electronic versions with your deck purchase, and if you want to have one printed, it's a pretty reasonable cost from Lulu. These happen to arrive today as well. Both the cards and the package from Lulu happen to arrive on the same day, so that was pretty awesome. The one thing I forgot to print out, I thought I'd already done it, but I have the medium white book for the original edition, but I do not have the Vitruvian edition medium white book. But I believe the medium white book is actually very similar in terms of its content, if memory serves. And then the other two things you can have printed are this guide. It's 22 weeks with the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. There's the original edition and the Vitruvian edition. I think really, other than the fact that the images in the lessons have been updated, the only other difference I really noticed between the two 22-week guidebooks are that the older one it's thicker, and at the end there's a quick reference. There's a quick reference to each of the cards, and then some other what do I call it? I guess metaphysical reference information back here, which is helpful. There's some information about crystals and other things. But you know, if you only have one deck, if you only have one version of the cards, you might as well have the one that matches your deck. And I think honestly that there's really no reason to print out both. I just did it for completeness sake, and because I don't know, I like to collect stuff, but so. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say. This is a really fantastic deck. I can't wait to get started. Wait to get started using it. It has the similar gilding. I don't think there's anything else I really want to say, but I'm just super excited. And Benebell, as always, great job. The quality is amazing. The final thing I'll say is that this really sets the standard in what you can have manufactured in terms of a tarot deck. I can't think of another deck I've had where the quality is so high, where you know the edges are not so prone to chipping. There's none of that. There's none of the burr. The gilding doesn't actually get on your fingers. There's one little tiny piece of gold on my finger, but it's not going to get all over the place like a lot of the gilded decks. The cardstock is just, it's perfect. It's really perfect in terms of its weight. It's both sturdy and it's flexible, so that you can do your riffle shuffles if you're a if you are a riffle shuffler like I am. You know, so it's durable, but it doesn't prevent you from working with the cards the way you want to work with them. So other than that, I'll just refer you to Benebell's site. She has so much information about the meanings of the cards, the uniqueness of her deck. I think one of the most unique things is that it's a combination of the Rider-Waite and the Thoth Tarot. And so if you come from either of those two lineages, you're going to be able to use these pretty much out of the box without actually reading all these books before you commit to having all these printed. You'll pretty much be able to get the meanings with the images that she has, because you'll be used to either the Thoth or the Rider-Waite. So yes, well, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you guys are able to procure a copy of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot Vitruvian edition for yourselves.